welcome back to another edition of Proper Punters, brought to you by CrossBet. I've got professional punter Aaron Macy and ex-jockey Glyn Schofield with me again. Lads, how are we?
Good. Hey, Les.
Yep. Obviously had a big week for you, Mace, in the group chat for the Discord as well, and obviously some of your punts from last week had a big week.
Mate, I had a massive week,
Well,
and I was
not
very...
a big week. Last Saturday, he was on fire, wasn't
It was, you know what, though? I remember last Saturday, we both got in and we were just really excited for racing. I did the form this week, and I almost fell asleep, so I'm not... Nowhere near as confident, but you never know.
So now what you're trying to say is those people that are in the Discord that followed you and won a Mozza, don't give it all back this week?
Well, not necessarily. I'll be happy to be betting probably elsewhere, but I'm nowhere near as enthused. I've got one bet, which I think is a really good bet. I think there's a couple of things at a price.
So quite lackluster week this week, you reckon?
I just think it's far less exciting racing. We've got the Slipper next week. I'm pretty pumped up about that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a better... Racing goes, obviously, as Glenn knows, every 2 weeks has usually got two different sets of form, and those they eventually sometimes meet. Last week we got it right, and we'll just see how we go this week.
And Glyn, your knock obviously got up as well. You tipped against Private Eye, and that obviously...
I tipped against Private Eye.
He tipped against Private Eye, and he tipped the winner in the race. I went against Imperatriz in the Newmarket.
That's right, yep.
Yeah. And she obviously got beat. I just didn't like her with her 58 kilos.
As a friend always says, a broken clock, it's usually right.
yeah, once a day.
Once a day. No, mate, it was good. Let's see if we can back it up and try and build some more momentum before we get to the big carnival here.
Yeah.
Well, let's get straight into it then. We'll kick off in Caulfield with the All-Star Mile, headlined by the People's Champ, Mr. Brightside. What can you tell me about this race?
You kick off
Well, he is the best miler in the country. He's the best weight for age horse in the country. I think he just loves to win this horse. He won the race last year. Interestingly, I don't know if you've noticed this, Mace. Last year this race was worth $5 million. This year they've dropped, what? Is it dropped to 3.25 or 3? And it's not even a full field. Look, 3.5, 3.
That's what happens when you don't have PVL.
Yeah, well, 3.75 million is nothing to be sneezed at, but you got the best horse in the country lining up. And he's drawn a sticky gate for mine, and of course the horse he just sort of ran down last start in Pride of Jenny.
When you say he just ran down, he won by a length and a half.
Well, that was over 7 furlongs.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about the Pride of Jenny, yeah.
Yeah, and he's up to a mile, so I think his classes are going to show, but there's going to be a few anxious moments, I think, depending on how Craig rides him. I think Pride of Jenny's definitely going to try and show them all a clean pair of heels, but I think in the end, I'm with Mr. Brightside. I think he's just going to be too good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely not a race I'll be playing in, Les. One thing about this horse, he just loves Caulfield. He's the king of Caulfield.
Has he won over a mile there?
No, but he's never raced over a mile there. So he's had 6 starts at the track for 5 wins, and he's had 10 starts. He's had 16 starts over a mile and won 10 times. But he's never raced over the mile at Caulfield, which is quite intriguing, really. He's the horse. I'm sure if he gets beat, there'll be a lot of multis anchored around the world in Australia that will go down. I think he's the best horse in the race. I'm not really interested in anything else.
So, if you had to pick one horse who you'd think could come up against Mr. Brightside here in this race, if there's one horse that can do it...
To beat him.
Yep, to beat him.
Well, look, in reality, they can all beat him. There's obviously, on paper, there's some that probably can't. They've got no hope. Not in reality, but you'd probably like to think that Pride of Jenny is going to be out in the pointy end of the race virtually the whole way. How much pressure she gets in the run from other runners is probably going to determine how far away she gets from the rest of the field.
I'd love to see her. I think a tractable to place might be a little tricky at a big place. She's drawn barrier to rolls forward. For Sarah Ryan. I'd love to see her run.
I'll tell you what, there's some trainer who has just like really hit the headlines.
Doing
I should say.
Incredible
She's an incredible job with an ordinary bunch of horses. And it wouldn't surprise me to see this horse pop up in the first 3 or 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to Rosehill, keeping an eye on some of the 2-year-olds heading into the Slipper. We start with the Fillies Magic Night. Let's go, boys. What do we got?
Yeah, well,
one thing I'm going to say about the fillies this year, each time we have the fillies race, they're definitely a class down from the colts. Well, it was the same last week. I think it was the same the week before. I definitely don't think we'll be seeing a filly winning the Slipper.
Oh, you can never say never. These.
I'm saying never. Put a line through it. It is not
Okay.
happening.
All right. Well,
I reckon
I
there
haven't
might
seen.
not even be a filly running the first 3. There you go.
All right. That's a big call. So we'll talk about the fillies. What is it that you like in the race? Is there a horse you've knocked them? So what
is there?
is there a horse you like?
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how the first 2 races play and how the track's playing. I think if the track's relatively fair, which hopefully it should be from the rail true, I think the horse Drifting at each way odds ran a really good second to Bold Bastille last start. Yes, both of her starts have only been over the 1,000, and up the last one was up the straight, but I just thought it last like 50 meters, and I think Bold Bastille's a really nice horse, and I just really like the way she got going over that last 50.
What horse is that?
Drifting, yeah. I give her a really good chance, and I did like the way that Fly was doing her better work late. I thought they were the 2 for mine.
Yeah, I'm really with Castagna, number 2 for Annabelle Neesham, young Zach Lloyd. On debut ran second to Switzerland, who's in the top, I think second line on the
second
market.
line,
and then came out and won the Lonhro Plate as next start from well back over 1,000 meters up to 1,200 barrier 2. They scratched from last Saturday to run here.
Yep.
Interestingly, because that's always a bit of a gamble with a 2-year-old filly to back like Saturday to Saturday back up into the slipper.
Yeah.
So Annabelle's, whether she had an issue last Saturday, I don't know, but she's elected to run here, and that gives.
Do you have any concern with how the Neesham stable's going at the moment?
Well,
it's by no means firing.
It'll be fine. We said that about Coolmore, the blue, last week.
I didn't say that. I gave Switzerland a very good chance.
We were both all over that horse in the Newmarket, and we both went for Bonner's Notches instead because the Blue Army weren't on fire. I think had they been
in saying that, a smart person said to me, the blue horses have been going really good in Melbourne.
A smart person or a smarter person than you?
Most people are. But said, made notice of, I think the blue horses are going all right in Melbourne, but for some reason they're certainly not firing in Sydney. So something to keep an eye on.
Well, so anyway, so look, I really like Castagna. I think maps well, up in distance, hits the line strong. The only negative I've got is it missed last week and has decided to run here, which is never an ideal scenario to go back to back into. I'm not saying it's going to win the slipper, but I think it could win this race.
You definitely think it could win it. I had a third pick. I had Drifting, Fly, Castagna. They were mine. And I think, Drifting the bet each way around the 750 mark.
What about the boys in Pago race? Anyone you like in that one?
Yes, I'm keen, and I think we're about to have a little bit of a disagreement here.
Yeah.
My little mate beside me. This was a horse I think we truckloaded at Canterbury his first start, and when I say truckloaded, the market absolutely truckloaded this horse late. He was one monster of a go. And I remember the rain. It was Canterbury Friday night, and about just as they were starting to go onto the track, it absolutely
bucketed down.
Pissed down. Which, look, he's by Snitzel. Whether he liked it or not, I'm not 100% sure. And you know yourself, Glenn, how much of a difference it does make when the rain is actually teeming down during a race. Especially for a 2-year-old having its first start. I don't think it's overly ideal.
Look, the difficult thing about when it rains is some of these young horses have never felt it before, especially under pressure conditions.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you've got the lights as well. So there's all that to do with it. And then you've got the fact that they're at the races for the first time.
There's a lot of first time.
Interestingly, there is rain forecast for tomorrow.
Yes.
The tracks are good for at the moment. So we could get a sprinkle of rain.
I wouldn't mind to see a sprinkle of rain, especially from Rail True. It just evens
out
out
the track out. If it's hot and dry for the next couple of days, well, has been for the last couple of days, if we get a little bit of a sprinkle of rain, that probably indicates that the track staff are not going to water before that in case they get it too wet and they get a bit more rain than they want. So if we don't get any rain, Rosehill on Saturday could be very leaderish.
Yeah. I'm hoping we do get a little bit of rain and that's not very leaderish. But just back to this horse. This horse's win, in my opinion, was
You're talking about Gatsby's, yeah?
Gatsby. He was phenomenal. It was raining. Rosalind Star is a bloody fast horse. Form's been franked. Rosalind Star came out and absolutely walked in yesterday. Which once again, like I said, franks the form. The thing I liked about it as well, though, it got this horse out of its comfort zone, getting around that tight Canterbury bend where he really had the chase, and a weaker horse easily could have probably spat the bit out and gave up, but no, he chased down. I loved as soon as he come around, the horse naturally pulled himself out and he chased him down. He ended up winning by 0.75 a length, almost put a length on the horse. I think the step up to 1200 will suit him. I think he's drawn ideally. J-Mac sticks. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Waller's, like I said it before the race, one of his top chances. I think might not be better than Switzerland, but I think this is a horse that could actually give a shake in the Golden Slipper.
Yeah, possibly, because these 2-year-olds improve week to week, as we know. This is the last chance saloon. This is where they've got to earn their prize
And
money
he did
to
do
get
this
into
last year with...
Shinzo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he won this race last year and then went in. I think he's
So-
following a similar
So
pattern.
that this race takes a really interesting shape to me, because when we spoke about the Blue Diamond,
Yes.
Coleman was obviously really strongly fancied, and I was against him because I said to me he looks like a 5 furlong horse.
Yep.
Looks like he wants to over race, he wants to run quick, and as soon as you want to put the brakes on him, his head comes up and he doesn't like it. That was
You were spot on.
So that was his, and he ran. He beat 4 home in the gold in the Blue Diamond. He's coming up to Sydney, so he's going to go a different way of going. He's now going to run 1200 again. Tyler Schiller's on him. He's drawn soft. It's going to make unless he finds one faster than him early on, he's probably going to be leading this race.
Well,
because they tried to settle him in the Blue Diamond,
and it didn't work.
So they're gonna free roll with him, and I think it sets up the race beautifully for horse that you tipped at his last start was Duvana. He really got home strongly behind Switzerland up the fence. He never got any clear room.
Yeah.
Last start he was ridden upside down. He bounced. They put him on speed, and I think from a wider barrier, I think Collett and Waller, they'll just take their medicine, go back, let him find his feet. He could, if the track's got a little bit of sting out the ground and we get that rain, I think Duvana is way over the odds.
I've got him clear second big in this race. I liked his run. I thought he was still game. He didn't give up. He was ridden upside down. I hate when you see horses that are ridden upside down. It's just it's not going to be his pattern. I do think he's definitely looking for 1400, if not a mile now. Put it this way, I'll be having a very good bet on Gatsby, and Duvana will be probably cutting me out. They're my plays. It's probably the race I'm keenest on all day for the city racing. Yeah, that's me.
What about the File Up Stakes, the 3-year-olds middles distance race?
Yeah, it's always a good race, this Far Lap. These 3-year-olds, they I think we spoke about the 3-year-olds last week in the Guineas. It wasn't a great edition of the 3-year-olds, and they went across the line in a blanket. It was at a length and a half between 8 horses.
I did think those first two would have finished a little bit further in front than what they did.
Well, the winner was 3 wide the trip at Randwick Mile, which is almost impossible to do, and he was strong late. So you got to give him an extra,
I think he's going to be a massive chance in the Doncaster with no weight.
49.5 kilos.
Oh, wow.
Tyler Schiller rides.
Yeah, massive chance.
And now, of course, you've got the Far Lap Stakes over the similar distance, 1,500, 100 metres less, and these are the horses that couldn't get into the Guineas. I'm struggling to find anything in this race.
It's like I said, last week was really easy doing the form. It was really enjoyable. I find when you do form and you sit there and go, oh, that looks pretty hard to beat, or that could be a danger, then you do the race and you agree. You usually get better results. Where here, I was like painstakingly going through a lot of it. We'll start off with salt coats. It's hard in the market.
Yeah.
Second favourite
So
currently.
interestingly, the McDonald's rides for Waller, and he's got. He could have ridden Tannhauser, which wouldn't have filled me with a lot of confidence if I was on Tannhauser. And of course,
you've got a horse that's come out. It's ran second first up in a benchmark 78. It now comes to a Group 2 race. I thought its run was fine. There's nothing wrong with its run. His best runs come in New Zealand on a heavy 10. If you go back and you actually watch his win over 1400, if this horse finds a wet track in Australia, I'll definitely be having a bet on him. He wasn't the one. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win because I think it's a pretty lackluster field.
Yeah.
But
I'm with one of the fillies in this race. I think one of the fillies wins it.
you're with one of the. I'll tell you, there's a horse that was a good run last start. The horse I've had a little bit of opinion of, Ground Rush. I did like its run in Melbourne. I think it's around the 12. No, it's far bigger odds, 20-1 mark. I gave it quite a decent chance. It's ran third at Flemington. I would have preferred it to be at Randwick. My top pick in the race is Toodle La Vida.
Yeah, there you go. There's one of the fillies. We actually tipped her to win a big race in the spring, didn't we?
Yes, I
Yeah,
had her
think
as one
maybe
of the key
spring-
chances
I think
in
maybe
the
the spring was
flights.
a bit too soon for her.
I think it was. She wants to get over the ground. I thought her first up run was really good. In the leader dominated race, she was 100-1. She's got beaten in just under 2 lengths.
She's going to get back a long way from that barrier. Though.
The barrier's concerning. Had she drawn a gate, I would have been a little bit excited.
Mm.
Look, she's beat Macarena home, and Macarena's a lot shorter than her because I think mainly because of the gate. But you're getting almost double the price of Toodle La Vida.
Kintyre's one that obviously I tipped as one of my shocks for the day.
Yep.
Last start.
It was an admirable
was
run.
Was drawn wide, covered ground, went back, and really rattled home strong. So drawn softer, second up, room for improvement, but a race that I'm not overly keen on.
Yeah,
Lacks a bit of quality.
Toodle La Vida each way for me.
Yeah.
If you want to play, I could easily have a small play there.
Okay.
All right, let's close off with the main event, the Coolmore Classics. What are we looking at here, guys?
Oh, what a good race this is.
This is a good race.
Always is handicap condition or set weights and penalties for the fillies and mares. Obviously the top weight generally is the best performed horse in the race. And Zoo Gotcha, she had a really average by her standards
Last preparation.
in the spring. Has come back and bounced back really strong. Sat on the speed and just went bang straight past Lady Laguna, who
Has come out and
has
won.
come out and beaten the best sprinter who won the Everest. Or not the best, well, one of the best sprinters in the country.
Yeah, think about it.
Think about it.
Espiano.
There's a few people that have given a reason why Think About It got beat. They're blaming certain things, not necessarily on the horse.
I just think the horse was too fresh. Like Sam
Yeah, well,
couldn't
we'll-
hold him. We'll go back to that later.
We'll go back to that after this. But Zoo Gotcha's has beaten Lady Laguna, who's come out and beaten some of the best sprinters in the country. So that form looks great. She's drawn soft. Second up doesn't hold any queries for me. Chris Waller, I wouldn't even question that. That it's going to be an issue for her. But of course, she's giving away weight, not masses amounts. She's only got 57. She hasn't got 59. But of course, horses down the bottom like Kimochi, who's a model of consistency and never runs a bad race,
Yep.
has got 50 kilos. So it's got to get, or 50 and a half. It's got to give away 6.5 kilos. But Kimochi's going to have to give it a lot of start because it's drawn 14.
Yeah, Zach Lloyd.
Zach
super
Lloyd,
wide gate.
Yeah, he seems to get a bit lost when he's drawn wide. This kid, he
Yeah.
hasn't quite got it together yet. But of course, he does have talent. He can ride, and of course, if he gets some luck and some lucky breaks, and he can get a little bit closer, then just dropping straight back, it's certainly going to be flashing home strongly. Tropical Squall it's drawn 17. It's drawn the widest of all, or second wide. It's going to have to roll forward.
What's the Rosehill 50? Do you want to explain to punters what the Rosehill 1500 metre start is
Yeah,
like? How
so-
much time do you get from those wide gates?
You've got a long time to get to the corners at about 1,000 meters.
Yep.
So you've got 500 meters, 2.5 furlongs to get a position. The problem is when there's 17 horses inside of you, you've got to circumnavigate 17 horses.
Yep.
A horse like Tropical Squall, won't really pose a threat for her or a problem because she'll just amble along at her own tempo, and just end up leading, sitting outside lead if there's something that wants to lead. So it's not like you're cornering.
Put it this way,
from
you'd
the get-go.
you'd probably rather a draw 17 than 1.
I don't think
Well,
with a horse like her, she begins well, puts
Well, she
herself
does
on
begin
speed.
well.
I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever.
Yep.
Timmy Clark's an absolute master rider from the front. He does seem to get a little bit. He doesn't ride exactly the same races when he's in behind, but when he rolls along in front, and he's just got a metronome in his head, he can just tick them along. Especially when he's on gaze horses, he just lets them go, and they are very hard to beat. Madame Pomery's another one that would have been closer to Zugotcha draws barrier 16, has to go back. Jason Collett rides, and that's his ride style. He's going to be negative on the horse because Jason just won't be positive. So
Is this a betting race for you?
look, I'm struggling to see how anything beats Zugotcha, and I can only really see Kimochi really doing that because it's got a turn of speed. It never runs a bad race. It doesn't know how to lie down, and it will be staying on like a poor relative right at the death.
I think Zugotcha will be very hard to beat. I'm going to go away from Kiyomochi, but concede all the points. I think it's a funny race. I'm going to play a couple of horses.
Sorry. There's one I have missed. I beg your pardon.
Oh, here we go.
Hell hath no fury. Draws soft. Nice galloping weight, 52 kilos. Beat Hinged, who's a Group 1 winner.
Yeah.
Last start. So there's a lot to like about that.
This is one Nisham horse that is going exceedingly well. She's been ultra consistent.
And if you're in the camp, if you're of the view that the Annabelle Nisham stable hasn't been firing on all cylinders, and the last weekend they've just started to win a few races in town and feature races as well, that stable might be turning at the right time. If that's your view, I just think possibly that this horse is earmarked to run a really, really good race in a race that is open to a lot of connotations because of the handicap and the barriers.
I'm going to play. It's not a race. I just think it's such an open race. I can see Zugotcha's clear probably top pick, but I think her price, she's probably at rock bottom odds. I think she's at the right odds. I thought she was a great gamble first up at the price. In a less open race, I am going with Vienna Princess, which is around the $12 mark. I like the first up run. I love the way that she closed off. I think the step up to 1500 will suit. I give her a really good chance. I think Kieran's, as much as I can sometimes be quite harsh on Kieran's rides, I think when it comes to Group 1s, it's where he does stand up. I'm going to play another horse at big odds. Renaissance Woman. Rachel King, Barrier 5, down in the weights. This is a horse that loves second up. It is just a second up specialist. She had 4 starts, 3 wins.
3 wins, yeah.
Hasn't won at Group 1 quality yet, but she has won at Group 3. She's gone close again at Group 3 against pretty quality opposition. Down in the weights, I think she could give this a shake at 60-1. And another horse, which I've had a little bit of a love affair with a long time. I thought her run was really good first up. I think she'll go good second up. The extra trip is good, and that is More Secrets. I just think it's quite an open race. Some of these fillies and mares races can just be really open, and they can go one or two ways. The top weight favourite just wins, or a 60-1 pop lobs. And I'm just going to have small bets and play the field.
Okay.
All right. Well, with all of that in mind, guys, in what is, I guess, compared to last week, a little bit of more of a mediocre week of racing, what are your best bets? Glenn, I'll start with you, and then we'll go to Mace.
Well, I've got 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily best bets, but I think they're a bit of value with all of them. I think started off last week in Melbourne with Young Werther, and he saluted. I'm going back to Melbourne for my first one, and it's race 1, number 5, Man Kayan. I think he's a rock hard fit horse, 2,000 meters. I think he's going to give you a smallish field. I think give you a lot to like there. My next one's race 6 at Caulfield, number 5, Amina. Then we come back to Rosehill, race 2, number 8, Wymark. Put a massive margin on them. I know it was only a provincial race the other day, but to win by 9 lengths is no mean feat. Loves the trip, steps up in distance. There's all positives there. And then, of course, I'm going to go in the 4th race at Rosehill, number 7, Ivana. Those are my 4.
Mace?
Yes, well, I'm against his pot. I'm only having one best bet, my actual best bet, and that's Gatsby for, like I said, all the reasons. I think I love this horse's first up run. The form's been franked with the O'Shea Galloper coming out and absolutely putting a margin on them yesterday. I think he's drawn to get the right run. I think this should be your anchor bet for the weekend. You can take it in all your multis. I think he'll be winning, and I think he will give the slipper. A shake. For my little 4-legger though, adding them, race 3, number 4, Drifting. Love the rundown in Melbourne. Thought it was doing its best work late. I think the step up to 1,200 will suit. I think there's only a couple of chances, and I think it's one of them. I think it at the each way market around 750 is great value. Another horse, race 6, number 1, Airman. This horse performs really well fresh, has trolled up well, and I think he's around the $3 mark and he'll take a lot of beating. And just to round it off, race 7, number 12, Tuda La Vida. Love the first up run. It's really going to need some luck from the gate, but I think if she can get in and the track is fair enough, she's got a little bit of class, and I think she can finish over the top of them.
All right, well, make sure, guys, as well, our friends at CrossBet have made it really easy to put all of these multis together in the BTFU hub. If you go straight there on the CrossBet app, make sure you download the CrossBet app as well. But if you go straight to the BTFU hub, you can put that multi on straight away with one click. They've made it really easy, our friends at CrossBet. All of the late mail for these races as well will be on the Discord as well. So make sure, if you haven't already, to go ahead and join the Discord. The link is in our bio and should be on our Instagram story still as well. So make sure you go ahead and find that. Any questions, ask Mace or any of the admins in the WhatsApp, or just chuck a DM straight into BTFU and we'll help you out for sure. But let's talk a bit of footy. I've been kicking and screaming, waiting for the footy to start. Tell you that for free.
Wait, I just want to say, I put you in the IMO and hat after your very rough start to this year. Mate, you've really lifted. You've got the Dragons home last week. You started off with 50-50 the week before, and then you labelled them as your best bet, and you've got them home.
Yep, Dragons were, I guess, very slim chances to start this well going into this year. There was obviously a lot of media about them this year being the spoon team, but I think just that they're forming the trials, I couldn't look past them, especially last week when they were coming up against an opponent that I guess could have been easier for them to beat, and obviously they did end up winning that game, 275 as well. Them as the underdog, I thought it was pretty decent value. It's not the best value, but it was pretty decent. And
I liked it. Well done. Good bet. I think you've already stuffed up here, but let's go.
All right. Let's go on to my little multi. You obviously would have seen it on our other show, The Scrum. If you go ahead to the BTFU YouTube, you can go ahead and watch that. We've also got another show called The Show With No Name with Renee Gartner and Darcy Lussick, so make sure you go ahead and tune into both of those. But if you did tune into the Scrum, you would have seen my multi on there. The Seagulls to win head-to-head at $1.90. The Dragons to win head-to-head again this week at $1.85. Zach Lomax to score a try. He was terrific last week. Great form. I think that he will definitely score another meat pie this weekend. And then Eli Katoa from the Melbourne Storm. I thought he was really one of the unsung heroes for Melbourne last week against Penrith. Had some great stats. Obviously, a lot of focus was on the other back rower, Joe Chan, but I thought he did quite well as well. Really tough carries. He just looks like he's going to score a try this week. And at $3.60, I think it is pretty decent value for a back rower. You're getting $21.20 for that one. So definitely worth your while. Make sure, again, BTFU Hub on the CrossBet app. Make sure you go ahead and download the CrossBet app if you haven't already. Now, Mace, you've got a Friday filler for us. Fill us in.
I do. We broke our little winning streak at the end of last week, but we followed up with a massive Saturday, so I was very lucky to redeem ourselves there. Keen on this horse. This is a horse I tipped, I think it was about 2 weeks ago at Bathurst. Is in against a short price favourite. The horse's name is Only Speed. It's Musselbrook, race 6, number 14. If you see this girl, she is huge. She looked like Beyonce. She's gorgeous. Got back of a hot pace, closed off really well. Love the way she let down. She gets up to I think it's a 1250 or 1280 at Musselbrook. I think there's decent pace in here. As long as she gets in, I think she'll be finishing over the top. It's around the $4 mark. I'm a lot more excited about that than I am Saturday Rosehill.
So you like the big girls, Mace?
In here, yes.
All right, well, that's us done and dusted for this week. Mace, Glenn, thanks again for hopping on. Make sure to go to the BTFU website, btfu.com.au. Subscribe to the YouTube as well. Make sure to join the Discord. If you're already on the WhatsApp, make sure to go ahead and cross over to the Discord. We have a lot of content, and Mace, very successful with his late mail last week. So if you want to get stuck in with all that content, make sure to join the Discord and CrossBet. Download the CrossBet app. Get in the BTFU hub. If you're going to have a punt with someone this weekend, make sure to do it with CrossBet. We'll see you next week. Thanks for hopping on, guys.
Thank you.
What are you prepared to lose today? Set a deposit limit. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.